Scottish Football Podcast.
It looks like the squad is out, but it's one of these videos.
Is it one of the?
So I'm watching it, and there's a big preamble.
Takes me back to the World Cup draw.
Right, okay, here we go. Right, this is a moving video, so bear with me. But the Scotland World Cup squad is out. Goalkeepers: Craig Gordon, Angus Gunn, Liam Kelly. Defenders: Grant Hanley, Jack Hendry, Aaron Hickey, Dom Hyam, Scott McKenna, Nathan Patterson, Anthony Ralston, Andy Robertson, John Suter, Kieran Tierney. The midfielders: Ryan Christie, Finlay Curtis, Lewis Ferguson, Ben Gannon-Doak, Billy Gilmore, John McGinn, Kenny McLean, Scott McTominay. And the forwards: Shea Adams, Lyndon Dykes, George Hurst, Lawrence Shankland, and Ross Stewart.
Wow.
Your initial reaction?
No, was that no Lennon Miller?
No Lennon Miller.
Yeah. Well, listen, I know Lennon Miller personally, so absolutely gutted for him. He has been in a number of squads over recent months. I think that was Ross Stewart. So Ross Stewart's obviously came in as an expense, so we are taking that fifth striker. And listen, Ross Stewart deserves it, given his club form. I think he's had a fantastic few weeks. Again, I only have a slight disappointment for Lennon personally, and I was looking at, could there be that third winger joining the squad? That's not the case. I actually wrote down 26 players that I think would go. I've only got one wrong. So, but there you go. Congratulations to Ross Stewart, though.
Tom, your initial reaction? Ross Stewart gets the nod. No Lennon Miller.
The Lennon Miller one is. I think it's only a slight surprise, to be honest, because I think he got any minutes in the last win. He was in the squad, but he didn't get any minutes. So that was maybe a clue as to what Steve Clarke was thinking. But I do feel for him, but he's young. I mean, I know it's no consolation to him that he's young, but you'd imagine if Scotland keep going the way they're going, that he will have another chance. Fingers crossed. Ross Stewart, I'm delighted for Ross Stewart. This is a guy who's had incredibly bad luck with injuries for 3 seasons. Relatively speaking, hasn't played a lot of football. Every time he's played, he's been very, very good. So I'm thrilled for him. I think he's a realistic option with Shankland to start and with Adams to start. I think he's a serious player, Ross Stewart. So I'm thrilled for him. Seems to be a lot of defenders in this squad. I don't have the full list in front of me here because this video, Burke, is still playing on my phone, and it's really, really annoying.
Yeah.
So, Tom, we've got 2 left backs, we've got 3 right backs and 5 central defenders.
So the 3 right backs, presumably, that's a reflection of maybe slightly worried about injury to one of them. Patterson is in, right?
Patterson, Hickey, and Ralston. That's a 3.
Yeah. So Hickey, slight concern about injury with him. Historically, Patterson, same. So it's 3 right backs. Centre back, it's a lot of defenders. It's kind of reflective of Steve Clarke, and it's kind of cautious approach. Midfield looks good again. Lennon will be very disappointed. I'm thrilled for Ross Stewart. Ollie McBurney, I was never going to make it, but I feel he should, and I feel he's been hard done by. So it's Finlay Curtis is in. Amazing. That's an amazing story. It's an amazing personal story. You couldn't get a game for Rangers not that long ago. Goes to Kilmarnock, which in terms of profile and in terms of eyes on him, you think that would be a move that would take him out of the Scotland squad, not put him into the Scotland squad. But with a team that's struggling to stay in the division, he's really fronted up in a very, very impressive way. He scored goals. Steve Clarke has loved that. So fair play to him. He's come from kind of nowhere, really, to be going to a World Cup.
The comments are coming in. Let us know your thoughts on the World Cup squad just named by Scotland manager Steve Clarke. Josh says, no Lennon Miller or Calvin Miller is mad. Liam says, good to see Ross Stewart there. Shame for Lennon Miller, but midfield is very strong. And David says, I'm not viscerally anti-Clarke, but his loyalty to some of these players is concerning. Why Ralston? Why Hanley? Why Kelly? why Dykes? I don't think it's any surprise. We've spoken about it all morning that he is going to reward the people that have been there and done it for him in his eyes.
Yeah, and I mean, where do you start with some of the names there? I do really feel for Lennon Miller. The last time I actually spoke to Lennon Miller, a big topic of the conversation was how much he was looking forward to potentially going to the World Cup. He was trying to do everything he can to get into his club side. So it'll be a huge blow to Lennon when he found out the news, presumably not too long before we did. I agree with Tom. He's young. He's got so many future caps ahead of him, hopefully. We'd love to get another opportunity for him to go at the World Cup. He is performing or trying to get into the strongest area of Scotland's squad. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But I've got to say, I agree with Tom in the respect that, we've been playing a back four. We're taking 10 defenders. We play with one striker. We're taking 5 strikers. We play with 2 wingers. We're only taking 2 wingers. No, I do think there's a little bit of an imbalance there. Listen, you can include John McGinn because that's where he's played for Villa recently and Scotland, so even potentially 3 wingers. So I do think that's the area for me that I just wish we took another body in that position. But listen, it's not been the case. I think Liam Kelly's someone I know really well as well, and he's brilliant within a changing room. So if you are taking that third choice goalkeeper, maybe Steve Clarke is looking more for somebody that's brilliant about the place, brilliant within the group, a bit of a character. And there's no doubt that Liam brings that. Because
a lot of people thought maybe Scott Bain might have been the third choice keeper, but you think Liam's influence around the place has maybe tipped it in his favour?
Yeah, well, the funny thing is that Scott Bain's our only active goalkeeper playing for Falkirk, and even he's found his way injured and out the team recently. So we've not got a huge list of players that are in incredible form in the goalkeeping department. But I think Angus Gunn is the number one. Craig Gordon will certainly have a whole lot to say about that, but he's struggled with injuries towards the start of the new year. And I think Liam Kelly undoubtedly is going to be that number 3. Scott Bain would have been the same as well. And just because I know Liam personally, I know what he's like in the dressing room, he's a fantastic character within the place. So for me, I think that's probably why he's been given the nod.
Scott has been in touch. You'd be better off with Judith Ralston in the squad, never mind Anthony. That is very harsh indeed. Not least because I believe Judith was a good player back in the day. But right, we'll hear from more Scotland fans, shall we? We're going to bring in Dave Watson and Darius Nisbet. Dave's host of the No Scotland, No Party podcast. And Dave, I believe you've been to the World Cup before. Mexico 86, France 98.
Yes, that's true. The first World Cup I went to was in Spain in 82. And then I was in Mexico in 86. Couldn't make Italy for a whole lot of personal reasons. But then, of course, I was in France in 98 as well. So this will be my 4th World Cup.
And what are you telling the younger generation about what to expect being with the Tartan Army at a World Cup? Because a lot of them have not experienced this.
I mean, the biggest thing, obviously, is just to go and enjoy it, right? And, and go and have a good party. Of course, the football's important, but also enjoy all the other things. So, enjoy being with all the people, all the chat, all the different entertainment. Go and see some of the US, or indeed Canada. I heard somebody earlier recommending people to go and see Canada, and that's great too. So, I just say go and have a good time, make the most of it.
Dave, I echo your sentiments, but I don't think there's any doubt that they're going to enjoy the experience. We just want to make sure that we enjoy some of the football as well. What's your initial reactions to the squad being announced? Any surprises there for you?
I think really the only surprise is one that I would have done, which is bring in Ross Stewart. But honestly, I didn't think that Clarke was going to do that. So, I mean, I think that otherwise the squad's what you would have expected. I had a little doubt about, Grant Hanley, whether he was fit or not. But if he's fit, or if they think he's going to be fit to play some part in, the second or third games, then there's no surprise that he's there. Otherwise, I feel sorry for Lennon Miller as well. But on our No Scotland, No Party podcast after the last 2 friendlies, we said we thought Lennon's position was looking vulnerable because he didn't play any part in either of those 2 games. So, we said our conclusion was Andy Irving probably wasn't going to make it, and we were kind of worried for Lennon Miller at that stage. So I'd say, honestly, the only surprise is Ross Stewart.
Let's bring in Darius Nisbet. Darius, you have got your plans in place for going to the States this summer, I believe. Tell us a bit about that. You've booked quite a few hotel rooms, I understand.
Yes, yep. So that's me. I'm all sorted now for the States. Really looking forward to getting going, flying out 3 weeks today. So, just looking forward to the excitement's now building for the the World Cup. So looking forward to it for sure.
I've got in my notes here that you booked 25 different hotels to make sure you had a place to rest your head at night. Is that true?
That was true. That was before we knew we were going to play. So it covered all bases. And then when we found out where we were going to be, I just kept the two that I needed for Boston and down in Miami. So I'm all sorted now, ready and raring to go.
Judging by that relative baby face, Darius, this won't be your fourth World Cup, will it?
No, Andy, this will be my first one. But I'm absolutely looking forward to it. I think for the likes of the generation, for myself, it'll be special for us, especially that first game against Haiti when the national anthem's been sung. There'll be a few tears for sure.
What do you make of the squad, Darius? Any surprises for you?
Yeah, I agree with what you said. I was tuning in earlier on before I came on, and I agreed with yourself, Andy. I feel sorry for Lennon Miller. I really, really do. But I do agree he's still a young player. He's got a lot to learn. And as you said, I think he's got future caps ahead of him, major tournaments. But Ross Stewart, I was surprised to see him call up as well. I think you could have made a case for Bowie. I think Bowie's came on to a strong end to the season at Verona, scoring a few goals lately. But in terms of the squad, it's probably what we expected. Like 90% of the squad's what we expected. But I'd say the Ross Stewart's an interesting call as well. But yeah, overall, I think it's what we expected.
You don't expect to see this on World Cup squad announcement day. Craig, #Clarke out.
That sums up us in Scotland, doesn't it? Ball's not even kicked.
Do you think Carlo Ancelotti was dealing with this at the Brazil squad announcement yesterday?
Well, do you know what? I actually had one eye in the Brazil squad, given that we played them. There's a couple of noticeable omissions there as well.
And Neymar's in.
Yeah, Neymar's in, which is good.
Make it.
It's good. We can handle Neymar.
Aye.
I was more worried about the other ones. But no, I had one eye on that myself. He made a couple of big calls. I don't think Steve Clarke's had as big a calls as Ancelotti's had to make.
I think João Pedro would have made the Scotland squad if he was available.
With 14 strikers or something in that Brazil squad, isn't there?
I actually think Steve Clarke would still pick Lyndon Dykes over João Pedro, I must admit.
That is the line of the day, because you know why? Because it's probably true.
Probably true.
Well, Dave, what's your feelings on Steve Clarke? We've been talking a bit about it, and I think when he came in the door as Scotland's head coach, if you had told us as Scotland fans he will qualify you for 3 of the next 4 major tournaments, we would have been talking about building a statue to the guy. But he does split opinion. There is this sense of he can be too conservative, particularly when we've got to those major finals. What's your feeling towards the manager, what he's done and what you think he could maybe lead us to this summer?
I mean, honestly, I think both things are true. So I'm more in the Steve Clarke camp, because you have to qualify, and he's done it. And honestly, at the start of this World Cup campaign, most of us were thinking finishing second and getting the playoffs, that'd be great. And the fact that we won the group, Clarke took us there. Same thing with what you said about the Euros. So I'd say, I'm a supporter of him, but in Germany, everybody just felt he was being too conservative and, too slow to make changes, too slow to bring on substitutes, especially in the Hungary game, which, we knew we had to win, really. And, you look at this squad and, it's exactly what we expected. So I answered your question about no surprises, and that's right. But, my big worry, and again, we've been talking about this on our podcast for months now, is the lack of wingers, the lack of pace, the lack of, creativity. And, we're so reliant on Ben Gannon-Doak. And, maybe Finlay Curtis can fill some of that gap. I think it's hard to know for sure at this stage. So, I'd like to see, bring in Oliver Burke, for example. I think, I know, again, opinions split on him, but he brings you something different. He brings you something with 15 minutes to go where you've got to start worrying the defence, so I'd have done things like that. So, I'm a supporter of him, but, not wildly, let's say. I'd like to see a bit more risk-taking from Clarke.
Well, Darius, if we're to assume that this is Steve Clarke's last stand as Scotland manager, and we're still none the wiser on that, but how big do you think this World Cup is in terms of how he'll be remembered as a Scotland manager?
Yeah, I think what we'll just want to see when it comes to the group games, just like compared to the Euros, just a bit more bravery as well. Not be, don't be too conservative as well. I think with Haiti being the first game as well, we have to start off well. We have to probably just not even start off well, probably score a couple of goals as well. We'd want to make, because we've got Morocco, who are, World Cup semi-finalists, and then Brazil, not the strongest of Brazil teams from the past, but it's still Brazil, so it's going to be tough. But I think the Haiti game will hopefully look to try and put a marker down, and I think with the tournament extended up to 48 teams as well, I think this is our best chance to qualify. I think it's 8 of the best 12 third place teams go through, so I think we should be definitely aiming to get third, but play some good stuff along the way as well. I think with the players that we've got as well, I mean, McGinn's aging now as well. I think he's now 31. Robertson as well. I think we'll look to try and, especially for those players, we'll look to try and see what they can do at possibly their last World Cup.
I was looking at one of the comments there, Tom, and he said, I don't mind this defensive overload in the Scotland squad. All we need is 3 0-0 draws to get out the group.
That would be heaven for Steve Clarke, wouldn't it? I'm joking. But there is, listen, I mean, they scored 4 goals against Denmark. They scored 2 in defeat against Greece in the game before that, but they've had 2 blanks in a row in the last 2 friendlies. So there are goals in this Scotland team, but only when they play kind of real front foot, real aggressive. And that's what I would like to see Scotland be, just to seize the moment, not like the Hungary game when they just tried to almost defend their way into the knockout stage. Just to go there, fire a shot, be aggressive, believe in themselves. Mm-hmm. And like they're good enough to get through. I think they're good enough to get 3 or 4 points out of this group. They are on their best days. I'm enthused by Ross Stewart's inclusion. I'm enthused by Shanklin's form. The midfield is very good. I would have made a couple of changes. I think there are too many defenders in there, and I think you could have put a McBurney or a Bowie or a Burke in there instead of one of those defenders. Dykes, I think, I get why he's there, but I think he's fortunate. I think that's a loyalty pick. So look, I don't want to be, kind of being too negative, but I would have had 2 or 3 changes to this. But Steve Clarke is the one who got Scotland to the World Cup, and he deserves to pick the squad that he wants to pick. And wish him, obviously, and the squad all the best. And it's an exciting day.
You're listening to the Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sports Scotland.
Neil has been in touch. He says, Steve Clarke is the most successful Scotland manager ever. 3 qualifications and most games. First World Cup for 28 years. People questioned Andy Roxburgh and Craig Brown. And look what happened next. Do you think, Andy, that Steve Clarke will be one of those Scotland managers that ages well? I think Craig Brown was far more beloved long after he left the Scotland job than ever was when he was actually in it.
Yeah, and I think the majority of Scotland fans love Steve Clarke, but sometimes the minority is just the louder at times. And I don't think it's a criticism per se to say that we want us to be a little bit more front foot than the previous major final we're in, because ultimately we never got through. We never got to the knockout stages that previous major final, and we believe that a big part for that was maybe just that being a little bit too overcautious. And I do look at that first game as a must-win for me. So how does it look in terms of us being a wee bit more front foot? For me, it's the inclusion of Lon Shanklin, because I don't expect us to create a plethora of chances in any of these games. But if a chance falls to anyone in that first game, I want it to be Lon Shanklin. So I think we can almost be a wee bit more front foot by our selection and by our starting lineup. If I actually champion for Lon Shanklin to being in the starting lineup for all 3 basically the Euros games, given that I think he's the most proven goal scorer within it. I think if a chance is going to fall to anyone, I want it to be him. So I think now that the squad's announced, it's almost the next guy's looking at who that starting lineup's going to be in that first game. And for me, I think a big one that I'm going to be looking out for is is who's going to be that starting striker.
You've not had much luck with these campaigns of yours, have you?
I've not. And do you know what? I've had even worse luck in predicting all season long. So Lon Shanklin won't thank me for predicting he's going to start that first game.
Who do you want to see, Dave, starting that first game for Scotland? Lawrence Shanklin, certainly, if you're looking for goals, he seems to be the standout candidate, but Steve Clarke maybe looks at other attributes in terms of work off the ball and physicality and hold-up play and all these kind of things. Where do you stand on that? Who should be leading the Scotland line?
Yeah, so I would start with Shankland. So I'd echo the comments that have just been made. I think the first game we should go 4-4-2. So, the question for me is who's the second striker? And I suppose I don't know enough to think about whether it's Adams with Shankland or Ross Stewart. I'm not quite sure how Ross Stewart would play with Shankland. I guess it's going to be Adams and Shankland. So I'd start with those two. And then, 4-4-2, obviously you've got Gannon Doak in the midfield along with, McGinn and McTominay, of course. And I guess, it's probably Billy Gilmer who starts as well. I guess that's probably the four in the midfield. That's what I would do.
Darius, would you go along with that?
I think he'll go with Dykes up front. I just think he'll just stick to what he knows. But I think if we do need a goal, if we are struggling, I could see Shankland coming on. I would like to see something different, and I think maybe 4-4-2 against Haiti could work. Could try and experiment something different. If he was to go Shankland up front, I would say maybe Adams could be better as the two, and then if we're playing with one up front, I think Dykes is the lone striker. I think he plays well more as a lone striker, Dykes, in my opinion, rather than two up front. But I think, Shankland definitely has to be in the frame. What he's done at Hearts this season's been absolutely unbelievable. Just if there's a chance to fall, from like 18 yards or whatever, he's scored so many crucial goals for Hearts this season. But I think definitely with his confidence that from previous squads to now, I think his confidence will definitely be up there, and you can make a case for him definitely featuring for the games.
Mama Zizou in the comments, it's very conservative. You can clearly picture a drab 0-0 with Haiti and then 2 defeats. Come on, guys, let's lift the mood in these comments. Going to the World Cup.
I don't even want to think about that. I don't want to think about that prospect.
Come on. There's enough in this squad to be optimistic. Everyone will have their own picks, and I have my own favourites and that are not there. But still, you could construct a very strong 11 and more than 11. But it's a question of who you go with. I mean, at first I would go with Shankland up front, the form he's in. But Ross Stewart is in brilliant form as well. He has options. The midfield is good. A lot of those guys are bang in form. McGinn, McTominay, they're all in terrific form. So he has options. He absolutely has options. It's all a question of, is he going to be aggressive or is he going to be conservative in terms of the game plan, in terms of the way the team is set up. But he certainly has more than enough players here to be aggressive, to go after Haiti. And I think that's what Scotland are. They're at their best when they do that. You could see it against Denmark. They scored 4 goals that night. I know 3 of them were wonder goals. 2 of them were absolutely freakish, otherworldly goals. But Scotland have players that are capable of brilliant, brilliant moments. So just go out and beat Haiti. It's very simple. They've got the players to do it.
Yeah, and the Denmark game is the reference point because it was such a glorious night, incredible occasion. It's almost lost in the midst of time that we spent 70, 80 minutes of that game on the back foot, been starved of the ball, and then just late whirlwind, So I'm guessing Steve Clarke is coming at it from, if I take the handbrake off and go cavalier against some of these teams, the Moroccos and Brazils of this world, then it could get quite messy. It is a balancing act. We want to see a bit more adventure, but you still need to keep the back door shut.
Yeah, and I don't envisage Steve Clarke, changing completely his philosophy and his style and going all out attack.
It would be hilarious if he did, though.
It would, but I almost want not all out attack. For me, I'm just looking at that first game. I think we can all appreciate and realise that that's probably a must-win for us. So being a little bit more front foot within that game. I think that Denmark game almost typified the full campaign.
Yeah.
Where for large spells don't look at our best, but we have incredible players that can produce incredible moments. I still vividly remember Scott McTominay somehow getting 16 feet in the air and scoring one of the best goals I've ever watched. Kenny McLean then backs that up with a 1 in a million goal as well at the end of the game to seal a place into the World Cup. So we, like Tom says, we've got so much individual quality within our squad that can come out with massive moments. Again, it's just that first game. Make sure that we know that a win is of vital importance. Can we have a game plan to back that up and let these players produce the moments that we produce so often?
See, like, I mean, I know against Japan, I think it was a disappointing performance. Excuse me, but Ivory Coast down in Liverpool, I think it was a good performance, even though they lost it. But Scotland created chances that night. And I think if you've a guy like Shankland on the end of these chances, he's going to score. That was a decent Scotland performance. I know there was boos and there was a lot of negative reaction. I thought the reaction to that game was really over the top. There was a solid Scotland performance against a good team, created chances, didn't take them. They have guys in this squad that can take them. And Shankland and Ross Stewart are the top two for me.
Well, Dave, we're probably due a bit of luck in World Cup. The amount of times we've gone out in goal difference and agonising circumstances. Surely this time we'll get the rub of the green and get through this group.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got a good chance. I just say also, you know, the away game against Denmark in Copenhagen last September, I think that's a good reference too, because everybody went into that game thinking that Denmark was going to win, strong team and so on. And Clarke surprised them. And I think he got the balance right, to pick up on an earlier comment. I think he got the balance right there where he played 4-4-2. Right, but he didn't go gung-ho, as somebody just said a minute ago. He didn't go gung-ho. But so he played it fairly tight, but two strikers up front suddenly upset Denmark. And I'd look, obviously, to the Haiti game, as I said already, but even the Morocco game. You know, I think Morocco are obviously good. On paper, they're much stronger than us. But I think we could upset Morocco, and I think that could be an interesting game if we can get that balance right. So I'd look at what we can learn from that. And then to your point about, are we due some luck? Yeah, of course. Of course we are. We're a bit unlucky if we end up in third place. We're unlucky that we're in one of the early groups, Group C, because we know that all the stats say the later the group that you're in, so the G's and H's, etc., they have a better chance of the third teams going through because they know what they have to do come the final game, and we won't. Right, so we're a wee bit unlucky on that. But I think let's hope we do get some luck. Let's hope we get through. And I think we have to target second place, honestly.
Somebody saying there Brazil will be easy, but Morocco are dangerous. Pretty dismissive of Brazil. How many times they won it? 5 times? Or
5 times. They're going for a 6th time. So, but I agree, completely easy. Just depends what Neymar turns up. If we get prime 2015
Neymar's past it, boys. Come on, let's be honest here.
In fairness,
I wouldn't swap him for Scott McTominay, that's for sure.
In fairness, most of the games, we've met Brazil plenty in World Cups, and most of the games have been close. I think there's only one that was by more than 1 goal that we've lost, and we drew one as well. So
if we get a penalty against Brazil, I know who I want to take it, that's for sure. Get John Collins back in the squad.
Aye. Darius, just to sum up from you, do you travel in hope, or dare I say, expectation of seeing Scotland make history and becoming the first Scotland team to get through the group this summer at a World Cup?
I believe that we can do it. As I say, we've got players that will come up with big moments. I think McTominay, we've got the Gilmores and McGinns. I think Shankland, I think, could feature a lot as well. Could come up with big moments as well, like he has done this season. But I think with the squad that we've got. Now that the players have qualified for, as I said, 3 of the last 4 campaigns, and a lot of them have been together with it in that time, so they'll know from 2 years ago. We'll look to try and improve what we've done in Germany. They'll hopefully take some lessons from that as well and see what we can do. But I do believe that we've got the squad to do it. As I said, the Haiti game is absolutely massive. Got to get off to a winning start there, and then Morocco and Brazil will take care of itself. But it'll be interesting to see, as I said, what Dave said earlier on. What if we go with 4-4-2? Whether we'll mix it up against Morocco or Brazil, or whether we'll just stick to what we know. But we've got players that will come up with big moments, and I do believe that this could be first Scotland team that can qualify from the groups, especially with the tournament being extended to 48 teams, and we know third place teams can go through it also.
Well, Dave, just to sign off, I wonder if you've got any advice for Darius, being a World Cup veteran yourself. He's gone out to his first one. What sort of tips would you give him in terms of maximising the experience and no ruining it for yourself?
I'm not sure I can give Darius any real advice, but just to go with the attitude you've got, which is hope, maybe a wee bit of expectation. Keep flexible though. If you're looking, if you're for the knockout rounds. So, for example, I've got 2 flights which are cancelable, but 2 flights booked for coming back. One's on July the 7th, so that's if we get knocked out in the last 16, and the other one's the day after the final from New York, which I know is wild, but you may as well do it, right? So that's my advice. Have several flights and book lots of hotels as well. Right, plan ahead.
Dave, if Scotland are in the World Cup final, you are coming back on YouTube to host the programme, because clearly you know more than all of us about football. But Dave, Darius, great to chat to you today. Enjoy the summer. I hope you love every minute of it, and let's hope it's a successful one for Scotland. Thanks a lot, guys.
Brilliant.
Enjoy
Thanks
it,
very much.
Cheers, lads.
Cheers. Bye.
Great to talk to
Excellent.
Dave and Darius, Scotland fans, and booking us travel for after the final. That is confidence or foolishness, whatever way you look at it.
I wouldn't mind Dave giving the pre-match team talk in that first game, to be honest. He had me inspired.
That's
Nice, wasn't it? Yeah.
That is James McFadden-esque Gallus, isn't it? I booked my flight for after the final. Brilliant.
Love it.
Class.
Absolutely love
Class.
it. Well, Tom, we're going to wrap up shortly, but you'll be going in to speak to Steve Clarke very shortly to get his thoughts on the squad that he's picked for the World Cup. What will be the first things you'll be asking him?
I think that's a good question. I think Ross Stewart is probably the headline act for me. Why hasn't he had a look at him before? Injury could be part of that. What does he like about him? And is Ross Stewart a serious contender to start games? I suggest he would be. Maybe pick at him to see if he's going to let us know a pecking order in terms of Shankland, who starts. He probably won't, but I'd like to know where Shankland fits. Is he ahead of Adams? Is he ahead of Dykes? Steve Clarke will give a straight bat to that, I'm sure. Lennon Miller, obviously people will be asking about Lennon Miller. McBurney, I'd like to ask him, was he ever in the frame? I suspect he wasn't. Bowie, should he feel hard done by? Yeah, there's a few. Any injury worries, the goalkeeping situation. There's a lot to get through, but there's a lot of journalists here, so I'm not sure how many questions we're going to get asked. We're going to be allowed to ask Burke, but we'll do our best.
Yeah, a couple of things that are kind of interesting to me is, does Steve Clarke have any names in mind that were really, really unlucky not to make it? No, who was that? Because I'm sure he'd have made 4, 5, 6 phone calls. Who was that 6th phone call? Because that usually tells you it's the one that's been the closest to getting into this 26-man squad. And then secondly, he's been pretty bullish in the sense that he knew almost of certainty 25 of the 26 he was going to name, potentially 24, 25. So is he that sort of confident on his starting lineup for that first game? Does he already have that in mind, like he was with his squad? So I'm sure Tom and his fellow journalists will get through exactly what needs to be asked.
I mean, it'd be nice to, if we got an answer to, like, who was the last one selected? Who was the last player? Like, Conway got injured. We all assumed Conway was going to get picked. Was that the last piece in the jigsaw? And who has come in instead of Conway? It's presumably Finlay Curtis, or is it Ross Stewart? Again, you ask in hope, but not expectation of a lot of information from Steve Clarke, because he's going to the World Cup, but he's a world-class operator in terms of taking a straight bat to your questions and knocking them over the roof handed.
Simon B says Hickey and Doak are excellent players but haven't played in months. I've got to say that is a concern, Andy, is that the number of players that have either been injured or just coming back, they're carrying injuries at the moment. You can afford to maybe have 1 or 2, but you don't want too many boys in that similar boat that they're either just finding their way back or maybe nursing and just getting themselves through, because a World Cup's no place unless you're bang at it.
Yeah, it's certainly not the type of a game and place you want to try and get fit. You have to be as fit as you possibly can going into them. As we touched on earlier, I think that's two names in particular that are of integral importance to this team. Ben Gannon-Doak, he's the only one with that real sort of directness, that real bit of pace and creativity. He's only played a total of 72 Premier League minutes this season, so not a lot of game time at all. Probably played more for Scotland, I'd imagine, within that time frame. But I was talking earlier about natural progression. You want to see progression going into the next major final. I think Aaron Hickey being fit and available is already progression. He wasn't available for the last Euros. I think for me, he's our best option at right back. I think he's an exceptional player. The big question mark over Aaron Hickey has and always will be that fitness. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of fitness he is going into these 3 games, because he's so important to us.
How do you see the goalkeeper situation, Tom? Obviously, we're waiting on Craig Gordon kind of coming back to fitness as well. Does he come straight back in, do you think, as number one if he can prove his fitness, or is that goalkeeping position still up for grabs?
I think it's Angus. I think it's Angus Gunn's position right now. Clarke has said, and shown routinely that he's obviously he wants his players to be playing for their clubs, but if they're not, he's still picking them. Angus Gunn has played very little football for his club, but he's done okay for Scotland. So I think Gunn would be number one, with Gordon number 2. I mean, Gordon is a freak, right? He's 43. He can come in. He could come in and play. If he needs to, he could start against Haiti with no minutes for like months and months and months and do really well. Like, he played exceptionally well against Greece in Piraeus, made 7 or 8 saves that night, hadn't been playing much at all for his club. So there are some guys who can overcome that, who can just slot back in because they're experienced, because they're very good players, and they can just get on with it, hit the ground running. Craig Gordon is one of those, but I think Gunn will be number 1. Let's see how it goes.
Right, Tom, Steve Clarke waits you. We better let you get going. Be interested to see what the Scotland manager says, but good luck with that press conference. And Andy, we're getting close now to the World Cup. It is not far away at all. We now know who will be going, and I suppose the next few weeks will be a lot of debate about who starts, who's involved in those match day squads, monitoring the injuries. It's all going to ramp up pretty quickly, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But I mean, just brimming with excitement regarding it all. As soon as the bottom 6 split fixtures were finished on Sunday, what's the next thing we can look forward to? It's this squad announcement on Tuesday. Once this is out the road, we see who's going to be taking us to the World Cup. I mean, for me, it's all eyes on that game against Haiti. I just can't wait. So much confidence as well within this group of players, it has to be said. I do think we have so much quality within it, and hoping that our journey doesn't end at the group stage. I'm hoping that we can get the results and the points needed to take us even further, hopefully to that final that Dave talked about earlier on.
Yeah, Dave's the man for the predictions. Let's hope he's right. Well, listen, thanks very much for joining us for this live show for Scotland's squad announcement. You can find all the details of the World Cup squad at the BBC Sports Scotland website. Make sure you subscribe to the BBC Scottish Football YouTube channel. This is the home of Scotland's World Cup campaign. We'll have daily live shows for you, interviews, analysis, all you need to know throughout the tournament. Stay with us and you will find it out all here. But thanks for your company today. We'll be back soon.
The Scottish Football Podcast.
It's petty, it's ill-informed.
Are President Trump's cuts having an adverse effect on research?
It's pandemonium.
What number's that in the periodic table?
PD, number 47. I don't know.
I've done the shooting clays before. The longer you do it, the sorer obviously it gets.
When Craig said there he'd been shooting the clays, I imagined him out a back line. Somebody's washing,
William Shatner, his secretary, contacted me to say, when Bill has a question now and again, can he contact you? And then one time he called me up and he wanted to know, David, what is a photon? I'm thinking, this is incredible. Captain Kirk wants to know what a photon is,
I once met a guy who referred to a globe as a ball map. A ball map.
Look at the ball map.
What we normally do is spin the ball map and we see where we go on holiday.
The Off the Ball podcast, available every Monday on BBC Sounds.